This is the We Witches 3 podcast, where you will hear the opinion of 3 seasoned witches who are tired of glossy, tunnel vision, love and light accolades about serious metaphysical topics. Your host, Maria Sewell, and Heather Woodward have been practicing witches and professional psychics for over 20 years. They not only have the experience, but they have the research to back it up. So get comfortable on your brooms, grab a snack, and get ready for a wild ride.
Hi there, this is Nathara at Crowsong Lodge, and I am bringing together an audio for you today. It was originally a video, but the video part didn't record. I'm talking today with a couple of my good friends, Maria Isoldde and Heather Woodward, a couple of my fellow psychics and witchy folk, and today we're going to be talking about some modern witches in popular media. We worked with a couple parameters. They had to be talked about in the mainstream population, and they had to have come out within the last 3 years. So that was a little bit of a restriction that we worked on, and so here we're talking about our experience as witches, watching these witches on TV or in movies. Do be aware that there are spoilers in this review and our reactions. And so we're going to be talking about Sabrina, the Teenaged Witch, The Good Witch on the Hallmark Channel, and the Charmed reboot, as well as the movie The Witch. In the process of doing so, we also discuss Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the Supernatural TV show, Angel the TV show, and the movie The Ritual. So if you haven't seen those, there are also spoilers for them in here. If you don't want to have those spoiled, I suggest you wait till later to watch this video. We did have some technical difficulties, so there are some strange gaps in here, but I tried to clean those up for you. And we'll be coming back to you with a part 2 later, so stay tuned for that. I hope you enjoy the show. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself. Heather, say who you are and what you do.
My name is Heather Woodward. I'm a podcaster and a blogger, and I do psychic development stuff and tarot.
Awesome.
My name is Maria Sewell. I'm a tarot card reader, a blogger, and a YouTuber.
Excellent. And I am Nathara, and I run crowsonglodge.com, and I have been a tarot reader, a psychic, and a witch for about 30 years now. So, and today we are going to be talking about witches in pop media. And this is going to be one of those crazy, like, real witches talk about fictional witches in TV and media. And so we put together a list of witches, fictional witches, that we want to talk about. And we worked with some kind of weird parameters. We're going to be talking about mainstream popular witches from the last 3 years of media, which was very difficult because I have no idea what's popular in the mainstream anymore. Apparently mainstream isn't something I do. And we thought this would be fun because we see the kids doing it a lot, and we like to hop on trends because why not?
You trying to say we're old?
No, we're just not kids.
That's true.
We're in the sweet spot.
All right, we're in the sweet spot. Okay, I like that.
Absolutely, absolutely. We can no longer be called young and frivolous, and we can't be called old hags either. We're in that sweet spot where people just don't know what to do with us. I think everyone pretty much went crazy on the internet when Sabrina, the Teenage Witch came out last year on Netflix. Now, I remember Sabrina when I was a youngster watching Melissa Joan Hart on Nickelodeon. And so the first round of outrage was that the new series was nothing like the original series. But then the witches got disgruntled. So what do we think of good old Sabrina, ladies?
Sabrina the Teenage Witch, the new one?
The new Netflix series, yeah.
I think it rocks. Maybe I'm the only person on the planet that does, but I think it's pretty amazing.
The ratings say you aren't.
Oh, okay, good. I thought it was refreshing. I thought it was interesting. I thought it was the comic books are like that. The comic books aren't fluffy. Mm-mm. So I think they were staying true to it. I love that it has like a 50s feel, but it's actually set in modern times. So you're kind of confused about what, where it's set. which I think is really cool. I love the ants. The ants are the best. But why were people outraged about it, just out of curiosity?
Because real witches don't deal with Satan.
Well, bullshit. But anyway, that's a whole other discussion about light versus dark and etc.
Yeah, and not all of them do. But also, it is a non-zero number who do.
Right.
Yeah.
And it might not... I mean, I saw it as not being satanic. I saw it as being like accepting a darker force.
Mm-hmm.
I think the whole Satan thing is kind of contrived, and I sort of overlook that because I think really they're like more forcing the taboo or putting it in your face that witches do delve into the darkness. I think one of my favorite scenes in the whole series is when the one sister gets mad at the other sister and she hits her over the head with the shovel. I said, she annoyed me, so I killed her. And she walks into the house. And then later on, she fives her. And I'm like, yeah, that's witchcraft for you right there.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And then she like digs her way out of the grave.
Right. So I didn't have a problem with it, but...
Yeah, well, that's the old cliche, the whole, like, witches get their power by signing the Devil's Dark Book and blah, blah, blah. But, like, whatever, that's, it's like getting mad at the witch from Sleeping Beauty or whatever.
No, I'm not mad at the witch from Sleeping Beauty either. I think she just had a bad rap. I mean, I feel like she was just sort of, like, she was a disgruntled witch.
Yeah, and I probably should say Snow White, since the Maleficent was technically a fairy, so...
Snow White... Oh, yeah. Well, she was a bitch, but I feel like she got a bad rap, too. We don't know her backstory.
Yeah, she didn't get to have a say. We didn't get to hear both sides.
No, we don't really know what happened. But anyway. Well, I think that same people who are saying that witches don't deal with darker energies or, air quotes, Satan, are the same people that think, well, they're Wiccans, I'm not going to lie. They're just all love and light. Yeah. Sorry, Wiccan.
Okay, so... I haven't seen the show, not because it's because like everything that you've said has nothing to do with that. It's just the fact that there's so many TV shows that do the whole witch thing, and they make it more than what it is, or they really Hollywood it up to the point that I'm just like, oh wow, you're mad at that one. Oh, there's a dark force coming, and you gotta stop them. Oh, big surprise. It gets a little bit sort of like it's the same thing over and over again. And that's why I wasn't like, oh, I have to watch this show. But it's still on my like I'm going to watch it eventually list. It's just not I haven't gotten there yet. I haven't gone through all the other TV shows that I'd rather see first, kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. But every time I see a commercial or something in that nature, I'm like, you almost got me. You almost got me for it. Because it does look cool. Like from the little that I have seen, it really does look cool. It has that like dark feel to it, that it's like a little bit more gritty and whatnot. And that for me is like, that is the one thing that I'm like, I gotta watch the show.
Yeah.
But I haven't gotten there yet. Which actually, now that we're talking about that, I might actually watch this after. I might start doing that.
Well, I think
it's gritty.
It is really, really good, and it's fun. And like you had touched on, Heather, the Riverdale came out right before Sabrina did, and Riverdale is from the Archie comics, but it's a dark and gritty take on the Archie comics, but it's much more truer to the comic books than all the other iterations have been before. And Sabrina, the Teenage Witch, takes place in the same universe as the Archie comics does.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and so when they came out with the Sabrina series, it is done in the same style as Riverdale. The same universe. So, and that's why they both have that, like, dark, gritty 50s comic book kind of vibe to them. And so actually the series that came out, I guess in the 90s, with Melissa Joan Hart was, like, a very passing nod to the concept of Sabrina, but completely off base. So the new one that came out is much more true to the original source material.
I heard that the TV show came out first and then the comic books.
The Sabrina was a featured character in the Archie comics before the TV show came out, and then there was a movie, and then the comic books came out, and then the original TV series.
Okay, that makes sense now.
Wikipedia, I'm not that good. I just looked it up. I was like, why is this so different from the TV show I grew up on? And so I had to find out like 4 episodes in, and I was like, oh, my childhood favorite was a lie. Okay, I can get over that then. So that's where I was. But yeah, so she actually, there's a lot of crossover with Sabrina and the Archie crowd.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, so that's for me. I felt that once I realized that that Sabrina was the new Sabrina was truer to the original comics than my beloved Melissa Joan Hart Sabrina. I was able to move past that a little bit more quickly, and then after a while I started seeing the two aunts as like the two faces of the witchy community. There's the one aunt who is very into like the baked goods and helping everyone, and who's kind of fluffy and kind and sweet and kind of abused by the other aunt. And then there's that aunt who is a bit more power hungry and darker and do what you have to at whatever cost. But in the end, she has her little soft and cuddly side too. So I saw that as like a good representation of the real witchy community. So I thought that was really fun. But I kind of think that they really stuck to the old like stereotype of the myth of the witch for their mythos, with the signing your name in the book and giving your soul away and blah blah blah. But after that, they deviated quite a bit. Sabrina ends up pretty independent.
She does, and I think she's more, she would be like more like an eclectic witch, or I don't know, like a solitary witch. She kind of just does her own gig. Mm-hmm. And she tries her own stuff, and she makes her own rules, and then she realizes that some of the rules you have to stick to, because not just because of tradition, but because that's how it works. Mm-hmm. And then she just kind of makes her own way after she figures out what works and doesn't work. And I think that's the fun part of watching the show, is because you have these two old aunties that have been doing it forever, so they know what their powers do, and they know they're very confident and empowered in that. And then you have this one other witch that's just kind of like and trying to figure it all out, but also very independent and doesn't want to follow tradition. So, and then they have their cousin who is
Andros.
Yeah, I think he's gay or he's LGBT something, and he's just a totally different kind of witch altogether.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, and so they have this dichotomy of these 4 different types of witches, because Andros is more of like he sticks to tradition, but then he sometimes just goes out on a limb and does things. So he does follow the rules, but he also has his own ideas about things, and he just kind of makes things up as he goes along. So it's a little different. It's not so. I think Sabrina is more. It trips over herself a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So she goes into it very much like, rules. No.
Right.
This is nonsense. And where her cousin Andros is very much like, they're the rules. You got to follow the rules, like, except this one time,
right,
and this other one too, and like, this other one. But shush, okay.
But it's because he's tried them out, so he's already done the pre-work, so he knows which rules to break and which ones not to. Yeah.
So I thought it was a lot of fun, and it had that like throwback comic book 50s kind of feel to it while still being really modern.
So what do you think of the psychic in that show? I forgot her name.
The psychic.
Her friend who's psychic, who doesn't know this.
Right, who's got the cunning.
The cunning, yeah.
The cunning, yes. Her friend who inherited it through her mother's lines, all the way back. I thought that was really, really interesting. And I thought it was especially fascinating how they introduced the concept, and the character like has her cunning wake up, and then there's not any exploration of it.
Right.
The character's just out on the limb, and especially since she was a black woman character, to have like this special ability that came from like her culture and everything, that was really neat.
Yeah, and it was linear. It was a lineage. I'm sorry, not linear, lineage. So her grandmother had it, and her mother probably had it too. And if you can get past the whole Satan thing, it's a really fun show about the intricacies of witchcraft and the different ways you can go with it, and people's abilities, and it's very humanistic. But I think people just kind of, you say Satan and people go, and they get their hackles up for no reason.
Yeah, and I started out with that reaction too. I was like, are we doing this again? And then I was like, oh, no, they're following the real traditional Satan narrative. Okay, I can disregard this.
Right, it's not. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, once I realized, like, oh, we're doing the green skin and the nose, like, oh, alright, that's fine.
Yeah. I mean, whoever did the show does know a little bit about witchcraft, and they do know what they're talking about. So that was the other thing, too. I realized it was something real.
Alright, so let's go ahead and talk about our next witchy people. And I just started watching this a couple days ago, but apparently you've already seen it, Heather, and that's The Good Witch on the Hallmark Channel.
Yeah.
Maria, have you seen this one yet?
I've seen one of them, because I know there's like several of them, right? Like several movies.
Yeah, there was a couple movies first, and then the series.
And then the series. I've seen I've seen one of the movies. And I remember that she's never, like, in that particular movie, I don't know what happens in the series or what have you, she never, like, said she is a witch. It's always, like, hearsay kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. Or like how did that happen kind of a thing. So it's really cute. I found it really cute and very adorable. I found that even though she's not, in the movie she wasn't like, yeah, I'm a witch, here you go, like, I do spells or whatever. There was still, like, somebody in the movie that was just like, she's a witch, just went crazy on her for, like, the most stupidest little, like, things. Like, she's got a broom. I'm like, really? Do you not sweep your house? I'm just saying. Like, I mean, is there dirt all over the floor?
Do you not have a broom?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Maybe you're the witch, you know?
I like that idea. You know who is a real witch? People who don't have brooms.
Brooms, there you go.
In the series, she does come out as a witch, and her cousin is a witch, and her daughter has witchy powers, and who else? Somebody else does, I can't remember.
Well, they don't, like, as far as I've gotten in the series, I'm on, like, episode 7 or 8. Like, the main character, has not said the word witch. She just has a wide set of skills that come in handy in a variety of situations. And she just happens to know stuff in an uncanny way, and so does her daughter and her cousin. And so they don't actually use the word witch. Other people do a lot.
Right.
And when they're like, hey, can you cook up a thing for me to do the thing? She's like, are you sure you want to do the thing? And they're like, well, yeah. And she's like, fine, here's a thing for your thing. Like, we're just not going to say the word, I guess, except in the title.
It's a guilty pleasure of mine. It's so not true to life at all. It's very soap opera. It's very telenovela. That's what you told me. You said, am I watching a telenovela? Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I was messaging Heather and Maria, and I said, oh my god, guys, am I watching a soap opera right now? I mean, I do enjoy telenovelas, but I didn't think I was going to cross into genuine soap operas.
Yeah.
But it is adorable, and I don't know, I do kind of think it's like true to life, but just like one step more fantastic.
It's cute. I don't know, like you're like, oh my god, this is so stupid, but then you keep watching it. Mm-hmm. You know, I haven't watched the third season, I think. I think that was the last one I went on, but I binge watched like 9 movies and 2 seasons in like a week, and I was like, why do I like this show? Why?
It is
nothing good.
That's how I felt. That's how I felt when I watched the movie. I was like, why am I watching this? This is so cute and adorable. This is not what I'm accustomed to. But I kept on watching it. I was like, oh, that's so cute. I didn't even care if she was a witch. It was just like, aw.
It is so cute. And I think the thing that got me about it is it reminded me very much of my mom. which is like, like a sucker punch, right? But like, that's how it was for me growing up. Like, people would come by and they'd be like, hey, I need a thing for a thing, or can you tell me about a person you've never met? And she'd be like, have you considered that maybe you have an issue? And they're like, I'd rather not. And she's like, okay, fine, here's a thing for your like. So it very much reminded me of growing up that way. Like, have you considered facing your issues before we talk about the thing? And then they're like,
no.
Yeah, pass. Hard pass. And then they're like, okay, fine, I'll help you anyway. So that was very much like, yeah, that's exactly what being a professional psychic is like.
It is.
Yeah, pretty much.
People are like, I need this guy to fall in love with me. And you're like, have you thought about maybe not? And they're like, no, and nor do I want to. Can you just do the thing or not?
Or they give you the, what do you mean he's not coming back? What do you mean he does not love me? And you're like,
Is the fact that he married, is that, do you think that's just like a obstacle that I need to face? That he has a baby? Do you think he'll come back after that? You're like, yeah, he's coming back. Oh, okay, good. That's all I want to hear. That's all I want to hear. Yeah. When? 6 months from now. Okay, I'll wait.
You're like, yeah, he's coming back, and it's going to be really horrible and traumatic, and you're going to rue the day you ever met. And they're like, oh, thank goodness he's coming back. And you're like, you were really not listening, huh? Like, you should not answer the phone when that happens. Like, don't just dodge this whole bullet. And they're like, bullet! Like,
Snay on the communication, Snay. No go.
Exactly. So, like, that kind of thing. And I thought it was really hilarious. I had that moment when one of the characters goes into her shop and she's looking for that perfect perfume. And she's just like, are you sure you want to do that? And she's like, of course I'm sure. And she's like, how about this one? It's got orange blossom, neroli, and patchouli in it. And I was like, Auntie Cleo's recipe? And she was like, it was beloved by Cleopatra. And I was like, oh, someone did that research. Interesting.
There's little tidbits in there where you're like, okay, she uses lavender and rosemary a lot and stuff like that, where you're like, all right, somebody's doing some research.
Yeah, so I thought that was really interesting. Although then we also had a moment later on, a couple more episodes in, where I messaged Heather and Maria, and I was like, are there no non-white people in this series? So
Hallmark.
Never met, yeah.
Yeah, and that was before I realized it was a Hallmark show. And I was like, why is everyone so pale?
The whole studio, there's not one colored person in 20 miles, like, around.
And so then I got a little uncomfortable watching it. Like, it's adorable and everything, but I was just like, oh. And I had to talk to the internet about it, and that's how I discovered it was on Hallmark. And then I was like, of course, it might as well be CMT. Like,
yeah.
That explains a whole lot. But it's still adorable, and just, it's a feel-good kind of show.
So, how come people aren't up in arms about that show?
I think it's because it's on Hallmark and nobody watches Hallmark.
I agree. Yeah, like, I only watch Hallmark when I'm depressed. It's like, is there anything whatsoever, anything else to watch? Yes, there is. Okay, no Hallmark. It could be like, what's in your attic? And I'd be like, oh my God.
Right?
This is much better.
Well, there's the Hallmark Mystery Channel, I think it's Mysteries and something. That one's cool because it's like, they have like Aurora Teagarden on that one, and that's like a murder mystery. Those are fun. Like, I watch all of those. Those are my guilty pleasures. But it's not the other stuff. Yeah, it has to be some sort of murder or investigating or sleuthing involved for me to watch it.
Yeah, so
I'll agree on that. Yeah,
I was really shocked when I looked it up on the internet, and I was like, okay, what's going on with the pallor? I was just generally like, Hallmark still doesn't hire people of color. More of the same. So it just like is apparently like par for the course, and that's why people aren't pissed off about it.
Okay,
like people have just written Hallmark off at this point.
Maybe.
So, but it's adorable. I like the show a lot. I think it's a pretty good representation if it is slightly exaggerated. But like from my experience, it's kind of like it's a lot of tea. Witchcraft Kingdom, like it's a lot of people drinking tea and
yeah. She's more like a hedge witch, maybe. Is that what you would call her?
Yeah, more like a
witch.
Yeah,
witch.
That's what it looks like.
Or
more
green witch, kitchen witch kind of thing. Cottage witch.
And it does, it has that cottagey sort of like aesthetic that's really like cute. Mm-hmm. That I actually like. It's very, I wouldn't call it fluffy bunny because it's not, but it's very like if you want a witch, if you want a telenovela, and it just so happens just to add some flavor. The main character is a witch, but it's not about witchcraft.
Yes. And it's kind of like if Martha Stewart were the best relationship coach ever and a witch. How would that go down? Everyone would be over having some tea, getting some spells, and we would never
eating some crumpets or something.
Exactly, and some fresh baked goods that would fix all their problems.
Right.
You know,
if real life was like that, I mean, I would be there 24/7 and be like, okay.
I'd be like, I need to stop right about now.
Exactly. Like that is life goals for sure. Like just these brownies will fix all your problems. So let's move on to not the original Charmed series, although we can definitely touch on that, but the Charmed reboot.
The new season, I love it. I have no issue with it, even though I've heard like so many witches like have issues with it. Not the new season, the new series.
Mm-hmm. The reboot.
I love it. I love the reboot. I think it's really great. It's really fresh. It's different, but the same. Actually, the way that I mentally have it in my head is that the original still stands, and that these girls are basically just they handed it off to them.
Yeah, that's how I'm understanding.
That's how it feels to me. Like if it's more of a, hey, we want to retire. We got like grandkids. They're already adults. We want to go on vacation. So it's kind of, that's how it feels like to me. And then these are the ones that took over. Mm-hmm. At least that's how I see it in my head. I like it because, I'm going to be biased here because I am a Latin. I'm Latina. Well, I don't know if you want to call me Latina. I don't know. There's like a difference between Latina and Hispanic.
Is it?
Yeah, there is. It's complicated, but I think I'm Hispanic, not Latina, whatever. My parents are from Cuba. You decide what I am. Who's ever watching decides. But I'm one of the two, or I'm both, or whatever. My family comes from, like, my great grandparents and all that jazz come from Spain. I think it's more Hispanic than Latina, and whatever. That's not the point. The point is that when they talk about, and they're Puerto Rican, their characters are Puerto Rican. Or Puerto Rican ethnicity. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times when they're talking, they say certain things. I'm like, I still get, yeah. So it's kind of like showing it to me is like showing like, yeah, you can be a witch, but you don't have to be like stereotypical. Like I come from, Europe and, Scandinavia or whatever the heck, to be a witch. You can be, a mixed race or because one of them is mixed and be, something other than your stereotypical, white, I come from like an Anglo-Saxon background kind of a thing, and still be a witch. And that's what I love about them. That's one of the things that I love. And the other thing is that they're adults, but they're not at the same time. Because in the first one, I think Phoebe was very much like, I'm just a kid, but really you're like, no, you're not. You're a grown goddamn woman who hasn't grown up yet.
You're in the damn 30s.
And then in the show, the youngest one is, young. She has just started off college. So it has that. And then you have like one that's a full-fledged like professor, or she has like a PhD in like biology or chemistry or I don't know. You have those two spectrums. And I like that. I like the fact that you have that. It's not, they're all adults and they're all like, having problems with boyfriends. There's more to it. So that's my take on it as far at the current moment.
Thus far in
this conversation. I might have some more things to say, but I don't know about you guys. I don't know if you guys have seen it.
I haven't seen it, not because I don't want to see it, just because I haven't gotten to it yet. I do read the reviews though, and the reviews are always hit and miss. It's either like, this is the worst show ever on the planet, or is this the best show ever on the planet? There's no in between. So people either love it or hate it.
Well, yeah, I've heard the same thing.
My friend here, my friend really loved it. He was so stoked when Charmed was being rebooted, and I've never seen the original. And so he was like, "You have to see it. You're gonna love it." And so I started watching it before the reboot came out. I got 4 episodes in, and I was like, "I can't do this. This is painful. This is terrible. I'm so offended. This is basic Becky bullshit. Like, I can't even stomach this. As a teen, I wouldn't have been able to stomach this. This is so terrible." It was just like, I can't even hang, man. Like, these are obviously like 30-year-old women pretending to be young kids, and they're getting everything about like witchcraft fake. It's wrong. It's completely false. And they're offending me on all accounts, like as a female, as, you know, someone who's progressive, as someone who's living an alternative lifestyle. I'm just offended on all accounts. I can't do this. And so I was like, okay, I just can't. I'm just moving along now. This is ridiculous. And so I was like, oh, geez, I don't know if I can even do the reboot. But because we were doing this video,
I watched the reboot.
I did. I paid for several of the episodes because I couldn't find them streaming anywhere for free. So I paid for several episodes to watch them, and I freaking loved it.
Is it good?
It is so good. I know a lot of the people on the internet were saying like they were just going for diversity points, but diversity points are good. And for 2, I loved it so much. The girls are absolutely believable as the characters are supposed to portray. Like Maria said, like, I genuinely believe the one is just now getting into college. Like, she looks like she's barely out of high school, and she acts like she's barely out of high school. The other one looks like an actual undergraduate student, or just like doing her undergrad program, and the other one looks like she's a PhD. Like, they genuinely look like their characters. There's like one pasty white character who's a main character, and they play that for laughs. It's hilarious. It reminds me of like the good old Buffy days.
I love Buffy!
Because it's got that like campy and witty, tongue-in-cheek yet serious commentary on society mix going for it that is just, it hits me in the good feels. You know?
I think the original Charmed is really about the times. Like, so we had Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and we had Charmed. And so Charmed was so far from Sabrina the Teenage Witch, but not far enough, you know, compared to nowadays. And then we had Sabrina the Teenage Witch, we had Charmed, and then we had Buffy. And Buffy was totally on the other side, because she's campy, but she's funny and interesting and smart, and she knows what she's doing, and she kicks ass. Mm-hmm. So there's your spectrum right there. That was kind of the start of all this stuff. And so if you compare Charmed back then to what we have now, it just looks so stupid. It does. I rewatched some episodes just recently, and I was all, I really like this show. Are you sure I really like this show? So I had some fond memories of it. And like after the 3rd season, like 4th and 5th season, the outfits just kept getting skimpier and skimpier and skimpier. Yeah. And I was like, all right, yeah, this is so dated to me. But it really was that middle ground between Buffy and Sabrina. So that's why it's kind of
awkward. See, and in my head, because I didn't watch TV from about my sophomore year of high school until recently, maybe starting a few years ago. Like, I did not watch until Netflix started carrying TV series. I did not watch TV series like in all that time, and so like I missed out on a lot of things as a result. And so like I missed out on Charmed, and so like in my head I just associated Charmed with 90210. Like, that's the association that was in my mind.
You know, I don't blame you. I really don't.
Oh, I get that. I mean, that's why Supernatural got so popular so fast. I mean, it was a few years later, but it's because, like, we want more Buffy. We want some stuff with some bite to it. I mean, I know it's a vampire show, but I didn't mean to make that fun. But they were looking for something with a little more, you know, to it. And Supernatural really kind of made that happen. And even if you go back and watch I know you're watching them, Charlene, the first season of Supernatural is kind of cheesy a little bit.
It's
and then it just gets
ridiculous, and I love it so much. Yes.
I know. It kind of, it sort of gives you Buffy, but the male version.
Yes.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like Angel was like that too. Angel was intense. That show.
Oh, I loved Angel.
I
I know.
could never get on board with Angel.
Oh, it's
Wow.
intense.
It's really good, especially like the first couple seasons. Like, well, not really the first. It's like the middle seasons are the best.
Yeah, they
Like
get
the
really
first
dark.
season. Yeah, when it gets really dark, because it's like the first season, it's like they're sort of like testing the waters, and then like the last season, they just went all out. Like the last like 2 seasons, they just went like, who gives a shit? Let's just blow this baby up.
Yeah.
And literally, the middle seasons, like the ones in between, are the ones that you're like, oh my god, it's so good.
You just, like you're like, must more, like you get so upset. Yeah.
Well, see, and I watched Buffy probably like in 2006, all 7 seasons, like in the course of a couple weeks.
It's a good show.
It ended badly, but it was a really good
Yeah.
show. But yeah, so I kind of came into that really late, because like I said, I wasn't watching TV at all, so I completely missed the whole Buffy thing. But Angel was just too angsty to me. It was taking itself way too seriously, and I was like,
Well, it's one of those like, I'm a vampire and I have a soul. Love me.
But yeah, so I really am loving the Charmed reboot. It reminds me of those early Buffy days when it was all just like sassy and campy and tongue in cheek, and I just love the heck. So it's been a lot of fun so far. So I'm glad that happened. And I actually really struggled to find really popular witchy media that came out in the last 3 years. And so the last one I have to offer up for our recent editions is The Witch, with 2 V's.
Which one's that one?
Oh, I've heard of that one. I think, is that the one with the family that they sort
That's
of
a
like
movie?
live in?
Yeah, it's a movie.
Oh, that movie scared me. Oh, damn.
Oh yeah.
With Black Phillip, the goat.
Oh, my God.
Oh my god.
Okay, see, now we all know what movie we're talking about. He's the most memorable character of the movie.
I have PTSD from that movie.
You
I will
do
never watch it again. I watched it thinking, okay, I can do this. And I was like, this might be a little bit too true to life. Like, I feel, like,
Wait.
an ancestor or something. I don't know, but it felt too real for me. Too real.
Oh, with the way they singled out the daughter?
Yeah, and just the whole, like, using spoilers, but using the baby to make the bomb to fly, and just the whole thing. Like, I was like, okay, somebody did some research.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody did some research and made this a little bit too real, a little bit too much for my taste. Scary ass shit right there.
Yeah, I did. The first time, because I've watched it twice now, I rewatched it with my honey.
How were you able to get through that again?
Well, the first time I watched it, it was a little slow and dull, so I, fired up a second monitor and was fucking around on the internet while watching it.
Oh, okay.
So,
All right.
it really has most of its impact if you're paying close attention to it.
I was paying close attention apparently because I was like this the whole time. I'm against the glass. I can't see me, but like this. What is going on? I knew, like, I don't know. It got me at the very beginning, and that was the end of it.
Oh, see, and I was just like, oh man, I was sold witches, and we're gonna do this for the whole movie where we're trying to prove we're not a witch? Like, give me the wishes. So it was very much like, man, I hate it when they frame something like a horror movie, but really it's like a historical-based drama. I don't like those because they're always really tragic and sad and horrifying. I want horror with like fantasy and ridiculousness and absurdity and actual terror. I have very strong opinions about horror. I don't want it to be realistic.
I didn't watch the movie, but I had a friend, I think, that basically told me what the movie was like from beginning to end. Uh-huh. And I was like, yeah, no, that's very triggering for me. Thank you. Because I mean, it how can I put it? It's not even that it is historically accurate in the sense of how they were treating the daughter and whatnot and all that jazz. But at the same time, it's like, I feel like if I've gone through something similar, thank you very much, or something in that nature, because it's like when you go through this path, especially if you come, like me, my parents were not just Christian, they were Pentecostal. They're Pentecostal Christians. So they were ready to, like, you know, bathe me in holy water or something. Like, let's drown Maria! Let's save her soul! You know, and I was just like, I was like, I'm not a witch, what are you talking about? Now, like, whatever, like, I'm a witch. Okay, honey.
But so, like, on my second watching of the movie with Rob the other day, I actually paid attention to it, and I had missed on my first watching through the little glimpses of the witch that you get throughout the movie.
Yeah.
Leading up to it. Were just like a split second on the screen. And it was actually like a really good film as a result. But I like, one of the reasons why I didn't enjoy it the first time around was because the father in the movie is just such an ass.
He is really, though.
He's terrible. And I was just like, oh, this poor girl, like, she should murder her family.
Well, Charlene, guess what?
They wanted to give her away to another family because she was getting old enough to start being a temptation for everyone. And her mother was accusing her of trying to seduce her dad. And murder your family. You know.
Because there's no other alternative. It's kind of like, yeah.
Well, they're out in the middle of nowhere. What's she supposed to do?
I don't know.
You know, they'd been exiled from the settlement because her dad was being too rigid about following the Bible strictly.
Too rigid?
Yeah, too rigid.
Okay, so this is where you know there's a problem. When your dad is too rigid for the people that are rigid about the Bible.
Puritans kicked him out because he was too rigid.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
The whole movie is crazy. I don't know. The movie scared the shit out of me. I will never watch it again. It's one of those ones where I'm like, never again. Never. So.
But like Maria was saying, was it scary because people are psychotic and mean and scary, or was it scary because of the witch?
Because people are, for me, I haven't seen the movie, but from what I was told, yeah, the scary part would be the witch, but because I've seen other movies that are similar that have that whole, like, you know, you kind of see it, but you kind of don't kind of a thing. But for me, it would be more not scary, but just annoying. Like, I would just be getting angrier and angrier because of the way that the father was being a dick. Mm-hmm. That would be like more like triggering for me. So I wouldn't be able to actually enjoy the actual movie. Like, I wouldn't be able to, like, get scared or anything like that because I'd just be like, that son of a, you know, the whole time.
Yeah. For me, it was because it was supposed to go one way, and you think that the father is really the antagonist. You think he's the one that's gonna really make it happen. But what's really happening is this witch is really kind of doing it all from the background. Mm-hmm. So
I'm pretty sure.
Well,
she's
very much like a trickster kind of role, where she just does like
exactly.
one little thing and like lets them take care
domino
of
effects. Yeah.
Right.
But if like,
so I think that's what I got. Yeah.
Yeah. But if the family weren't so awful to begin with, she wouldn't have been able to do that.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's similar to you guys have seen this movie because we were talking about it not that long ago. But the movie, which does not have a witch, but it does have pagans related stuff, which is the movie The Ritual.
Yeah.
Now that's very similar. Like, the idea is very similar. And see, for me, the creature, like the big bad guy, didn't really scare me. I was more like, wow, that looks so freaking cool.
So cool.
That was like, visually, you're like, whoa. I mean, you're gonna kill me, but wow.
Kind of hotness too.
Yeah. But the thing that got me just like, I can't enjoy this because you're such a jerk, is the one friend that hurts his leg.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And that's just being a complete dick the whole entire time because he's in pain, because he wants to sit down, because he doesn't want to walk anymore, because of this and that. And actually, in my opinion, if it wasn't for him, they would all still be alive, to be honest. If it wasn't for him and his personality, they would all still be alive.
Yep. You're like, if it weren't for this one dude, they would have been
He's the one person, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And the worst part is that I thought he was gonna live, and I was like, oh, he better die. He better fucking die. I hope he dies. Oh.
See, movies like The Ritual and The Witch, they get to me because there is something very familiar about them. It does. I don't know. Like, I do believe in. I don't know. The creature in The Ritual wasn't. Well, it was believable, but it wasn't believable. It's the idea of those old gods. That's what gets to me. And The Witch was the same way. I could totally see a witch being like that in the 1600s. It's everything that people said witches were, and and this is the embodiment of that. And I could see how there's one of those people in a community, and the rest are just hedge witches or good witches, and that one person who's like that then is satanic
for everybody.
Yeah.
So I think that gets me with it.
Well, I'm like, with, like, the witch ended, I was like, I told my aunt, I was like, their recruitment program is, like, really fail-proof. There was no way she was not going to join.
Right.
Like, she's in the middle of nowhere with no supports, having been exiled. Like,
right.
What's she going to do? Like, at the end of the day, she's going to be like, fuck it, I'll be a witch.
Right, but that's scary to me. That's scary to me too. I don't know why that's scary to me, but it is for some reason. Not that I'm afraid of witchcraft. I'm not even afraid of witches, but I don't know. I don't know. There was something very physical about it that I connected to as a witch.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was really interesting to explore, because for me, I was just very like, oh, good, they're having a party, like, at the end. Like, for me, it was very, once all the stuff went down at the end, and she leaves the family farm, I was like, good, this is the reprieve at the end of the movie. Like, it was like the happy ending, like, oh, she'll be okay now. Like, that was my feeling. I was like, whew, she's safe, it's okay now. Like, so... For me, like, the horror lasted all the way up until then, and then it was all right.
See, I didn't like the fact that she went with the witches, but I don't know why. Not that her family were dicks, but there's something about it there's something viscerally that I connected to that I just, ooh.
You can't put your finger on it.
Can't put my finger on it, but it scared me.
You know, the weird undercurrent that just rubbed you the wrong way, huh?
Yeah, something about it. I'm not, I don't know. Not sure.
Yeah, it was really interesting. And it's not, like, not something that I have a personal experience of. Like, I haven't met witches like that who were just, like, churning babies in their butter churns and stuff like that. Like, that's not something I have personal knowledge of or experience of happening in the modern day at all. But I'm really familiar with the old stories of witches and stuff. Like, I have a copy of the Malleus Maleficarum, and like, I believe one should know. So it's handy to know these things. So, like, it was part of the things that I studied growing up, so I'm really familiar with the stuff that they used to prosecute people. So I guess like, maybe that contributes to my different feeling about it. And for me, it's, like, again, it's on par with Hocus Pocus and the green skin and the crooked nose. I'm like, that's the signing your name in the devil's book, because it's the same thing in The Witch. The signs her name in the devil's book, and off she goes. So I'm like, oh, right, it's that mythology. Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, but I still had that feeling at the end. I was like, good for her. She'll be all right now.
Really? She'll be good? She'll be fine? Okay.
Yeah, she's gonna be fine. She found her girls.
Yeah.
Flying above the bonfire. One of her girls. She'll be fine.
I'm the Sagittarius in this group. I'm the one that's supposed to be optimistic.
I'm the quadruple Virgo. I've got self-righteous wrath, okay? So I'm very much like, yeah, murder the family, go join your girls. Lightheartedly, obviously, nobody come after me for espousing murder here.
Yeah.
We are not accomplices.
We are not accomplices. We did not participate in anything in that nature.
Right. Like I said, this is, obviously a fictional accounting of witchcraft. And at that point, the storm interfered with our communications and we had to call it a wrap. I hope you enjoyed this discussion of popular media and witchy good times. And we will talk to you later. Again, this was Maria Isoldde of The Wandering Witch, Heather Woodward of The Divine Wild Woman and Envious Alien Podcast, and Nathara of Crow Song Lodge, aka Charlene. Links, of course, are included below, and don't forget to like and subscribe.
Thank you for listening to the We Witches 3 podcast. For show notes and links, just go to wewitches3.com. And don't forget to check our Patreon at patreon.com/wewitches3.